We in the gun community have been saying it for years. The first thing a government does when it wants to oppress a people is take away their guns. And for years, people called us crazy or that it was all in the past. It doesn't happen anymore. Yet in 2021, after taking control of Afghanistan after 20 years, the first thing the Taliban does is take the guns away from the people.
These are the scenes pouring in from Afghanistan on its first day after the Taliban took the capital, Kabul. And the new reality that's set in. Meanwhile, on the streets, there's a heavy presence of Taliban fighters rolling in seized government vehicles. They've started collecting civilians' weapons, saying the items are no longer needed for their personal protection.
Want to know who else wants to take guns away from the people under the guise of safety?
I don't need to wait another minute, let alone an hour, to take common sense steps that will save the lives in the future and to urge my colleagues in the House and Senate to act. We can ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in this country.
The AR-15 is the most popular civilian rifle in the country, and our current president literally brags about banning them.
We can ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines.
The Taliban is taking guns away from the people, telling them they no longer need them for their personal protection. Do you realize how insane this is? The people who had the guns in the first place to protect themselves from the Taliban when the Taliban wasn't in control of the country. And now the Taliban are in control of the country and are telling these same people who have guns that they don't need them anymore because the Taliban is now in control of the country. This is madness. But you know who said the same thing about AR-15s and wants to confiscate them?
So to gun owners out there who say, well, a Biden administration means they're going to come for my guns.
Bingo. You're right if you have an assault weapon. The fact of the matter is they should be illegal, period.
The whole reason why the Founding Fathers put the Second Amendment in the Constitution is because they understood that all governments, no matter what part of the world, will at some point desire to have more control over its people. And with control comes power. And as the famous saying goes,
power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Joe Biden and his administration may have no desire to be oppressive, but what about the next administration and the one after that? For crying out loud, when Trump was in office, a third of this country was calling Trump a fascist dictator who was colluding with Russia to destroy the country. And these same people will call us crazy for saying that the Second Amendment was put in place so that the people could protect themselves from an oppressive government. All while our current president literally says this.
Never been, if you want to think you need to have weapons to take on the government, you need F-15s and maybe some nuclear weapons.
In the US, we have the Second Amendment. This means, unlike every other government, our representatives have to convince us to give up our rights. They do this by telling us that because dangerous criminals are shooting people all over the country and that the only way to keep you safe from dangerous criminals with guns is to take the guns away from you. How and where does that make sense? This idea that the only way the government can keep you safe is by restricting your 2A rights with gun control is no different than saying the only way to keep your dog safe from other dogs is by removing the teeth of every dog in this country. You know how frightening it is to think about what happens in the moments before, during, and even days after having to use your gun in self-defense? When you first start carrying a gun for protection, it can be a very scary and nerve-wracking experience, especially if you haven't gotten the education and training you need to feel confident. I've been there myself, hoping I never have to go through a self-defense shooting, which is why I'm a member of the USCCA. As a USCCA member, you can eliminate some of the stress of carrying a gun for protection by accessing the amazing wealth of firearm education, training, and current state-specific gun laws of your state or states you may travel to. This can help you be prepared for or hopefully even avoid a self-defense incident. As a bonus, members automatically become insured on the self-defense liability insurance policy purchased by and issued to the USCCA. Click below to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, make sure you hit that bell symbol.